Hello, everyone. I'm so happy that we have another young Indian with us today. We have with us right now Mannat Sharma. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Mannat.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, first of all. I'm really grateful that you've invited me and I'm a part of this discussion. Hi, everyone. My name is Mannat Sharma. I've been born and brought up in New Delhi. I have done my schooling from Delhi Public School, Arkipuram, and then I went to do my bachelor's in economics from Lady Shri Ram College, University of Delhi. After that, I immediately joined JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Center for Economic Studies and Planning, to do my master's in economics. That was a 2-year course, and I was called the one of the COVID batch, you could say. So first 3 semesters were all online, unfortunately, but luckily we had the chance to visit the campus in our final semester. After JNU, I joined Nikore Associates as a research associate, and then I got promoted to the position of research manager. I'm currently working at Nikore Associates as a research manager for the last 1.5 years now. Additionally, I'm also working as a short-term temporary with the World Bank in the transport team. So at the bank, I'm working on the intersection of gender and transport. And today, I would love to talk about the work that we do at Nikore Associates. And I would love to share some of the key takeaways, key findings that have come across my research over the last 1.5 years. So any questions before that?
Well, you use the term short-term temporary. That's a
Yes.
technical term. Are you really just a temporary or a consultant?
Okay, so that's a tricky question, but I'll be happy to answer that. So since I have less than 2 years of work experience, I am currently working as a short-term temporary. And then in June, hopefully, fingers crossed, if my contract does get extended, then I'll be promoted to short-term consultant at the bank.
All right.
So
Yeah, it's a
depends
very
on the...
nuanced point, but since I have been in that business a long time, I picked
Yes.
up as to why you are not STC, why you are STT. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway, let's hear about your work.
Definitely, definitely. So before I start about that, I would like to give a brief introduction about Nikore Associates. So Nikore Associates is a youth-led public policy research group, and we are actively working on gender mainstreaming, and we are trying to advocate gender equality across different sectors and industries. So we work with a lot of ministries, we work with a lot of multilateral organizations, with private sector companies, as well as community level organizations. So our work is across all levels. And we also do a lot of in-house research, which has been published in several national and international journals. We present our research findings at different conferences as well. We're a very small team, but the best thing about our team is that more than 95% of our team comprises of women under the age of 23, 24. And that's the best thing. That's the best part. We love the work. We love the environment. So just a brief introduction about Nikore Associates. Now, the key idea that we work towards is female labor force participation rate. This is something that I'd earlier also discussed in one of the Vidpeds that I was a part of. So we were discussing about falling female labor force participation rate, and I would love to shed some light on that. So at Nikore Associates in the last 5 years, what the team has done is that we have developed an extensive database of labor market trends and workforce participation rates, labor force participation rates. And we've tried to understand and analyze the patterns in labor force market. And what we've understood is that the difference between female labor force participation rate and the male labor force participation rate has always exceeded 40 percentage points. In fact, in 1987, the female labor force participation rate was about 47%. And then since then, it's just been declining. And in 2017, it reached its lowest level, which was 23%. And after that, over the last 5-6 years, we've witnessed an increasing trend. And we are currently standing at about 37% as of 2022-2023. Now, we have tried to understand that why is it that the female labor force participation rate has been falling? And try to understand the reasons behind it. So we've mostly done a lot of primary and secondary work. So this is all the secondary data work that we've been doing. But over the last 3-4 years, we've also conducted consultations with more than 100 women-led organizations, women-led or community-based organizations, and tried to understand that what was the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the women's workforce and their businesses. So based on that, based on the primary and the secondary work that we've been doing, we've developed a set of recommendations that the government can undertake, in order to address these challenges. And we've also structured the challenges as per a 5-level framework, which I'll just talk about. So that's been the work so far. That's the structure of our work. Now, I would specifically like to talk about the 5 factors that we've identified over the course of this research work. The first one, in our opinion, has been occupational segregation. Now, what this means is that women traditionally have been overrepresented in certain sectors, and they tend to stick to those sectors. And, they don't want to come out of those sectors, maybe because of the networks that they form, or they're comfortable in those specific sectors. For instance, when you look at the data that has been published by Periodic Labour Force Survey, which is published annually by the Government of India, we'll see that, rural women, around 88% of women were employed in agriculture in 1977. And as of 2022, it stands at 76%. Whereas for rural men, it's been 80% in 1977, which has fallen down to about 49% in 2022. So you see the difference, right? And when you talk about the urban sector specifically, the urban sector, women have actually, has been some growth in terms of like women getting more jobs. But again, these jobs have remained concentrated in certain sectors, including beauty, hospitality, and, all of these sectors where women traditionally are overrepresented. So that's the number one reason, which is occupational segregation. The second factor, which we've come across in our research findings, has been unpaid care work and the burden of social responsibilities and, caregiving responsibilities at the work at your homes. So what we've done is that we use the time use survey data, which was published in 2019 by the Government of India. What time use survey data tells you is that how much does an Indian woman and an Indian man spend, like what is the average day like, in your life, in my life. And we knew the findings, obviously, that, women would spend more time on unpaid care work. But you'd be surprised to know that in India, women spend 46% of their waking hours on unpaid care work. And this is around 8.3 times the amount of work that men spend. So, and they work primarily for cooking, cleaning, and childcare activities. And you see the same results in urban sector as well, and in the rural sector as well. In fact, in urban, it's 9.6 times, and in rural areas, it's 8.2 times. And what is most surprising is that regardless of whether you're married or not, regardless of whether you're employed or not, or your level of education, that also does not matter. If you are a woman, you are working. You are going to work on unpaid care work. You will work more than your male counterpart will do. You will work more than your husband. You will work more than your brother. You will work more than your father and any other male in your household. So this is one of the key finding that we came across in our analysis. And what we've done is that we have extended this analysis across G20 countries as well. And over there also, India stands as an outlier. India has in India, women are actually doing a lot more of unpaid care work than their male counterparts. And based on these findings, we have published 3 papers till now. The recent one just came out 2-3 days ago, and I'll be very happy to share the links of those research papers as well. The first one was published in Observer Research Foundation as an issue brief, wherein we specifically talk about India. Then we extended this analysis across G20 countries, and we developed a set of policy recommendations for governments, for private sector enterprises, and for community level organizations. This was published as a Think 20 initiative, as a T20 policy brief around 2-3 months ago. And then finally, we also published a W20 compendium. An essay has been published by our founder, Nikore, in the compendium, and which was just released 2 days ago. So happy to share the research on that as well. Coming on to the third point, which is mobility restrictions and, the lack of access to safe, inclusive, and accessible transportation. Now, what we see is that even in the last year, in fact, we have spoken to a lot of women across different subgroups. In fact, last week we had a focus group discussion with women who are employed as logistics service providers and freight forwarders. And we spoke to them that, why is it that women don't participate in these professions? Why is it a male-dominated profession? And you'll be surprised to know that these females who are employers in their organizations, they themselves prefer hiring male candidates for as courier service delivery or to go to the port to deliver the consignment as truck drivers. They themselves prefer hiring male candidates. And when we ask them that why is the situation, the number one reason comes out that, agar koi ladki hoti hai, if there's a woman, we have to pay for her trips because we cannot let her go take the public transport. We have to book a cab for her. Then the woman is never willing to stay overtime. We cannot give her night duties. So, these are some of the key factors that come up. And why is it? Well, this is because of lack of access to safe, accessible, and inclusive transportation in our country. The problem is that public spaces, cities in India are designed from a very perspective of a male user. Right from when you board the bus, right? The height of the step of the bus is very inaccessible if you're wearing a sari. And when you enter a bus, the height of the handle is too high for you for an average Indian woman. So all of these perspectives need to be taken into account when you're designing urban mobility spaces, in our opinion. That is the third reason. And, when you speak to, we actually had a focus group discussion with women students from Delhi University, like 3-4 months ago. And we spoke to them, what are the challenges that you face when you try to commute because you come to college? They say that these are the main challenges and they never prefer taking the bus. They would rather take the metro than the bus. And each and every woman in that discussion was a victim of sexual harassment in some form or another, verbal, physical, etc. And then when we spoke to them, they said that, they have curfew restrictions at home. So after 7 p.m., they're not allowed to go out of the house. So if you are going to college throughout the day, if you have an internship opportunity, but that requires you to travel, that requires you to go out of your house, they say that they've so many times they've said no to these opportunities because they don't have safe, accessible transport options. So, they've actually compromised on so many of educational, employment, and skill training opportunities because of these problems. So, in our opinion, third is this mobility factor. The next factor becomes the income effect. So, as which is that women in India are considered as the secondary bread earners of the family. So, as and when your family starts earning more, you have more income in the family, the women tend to drop out of the labor force. And when they drop out, they prefer not working again. And finally, we feel the fifth option is the gender digital divide. Now, what happens here is that, lack of access of internet access. Women don't know how to use telephones, smartphones. They don't know how to, use WhatsApp groups, how to properly use technology. So this becomes a key constraint. And in our discussions also with women-led organizations, we have witnessed that this remains as a problem till now. So this has just been some of the work that we're doing at Nikore Associates, and I'll be more than happy to share the work that we've done, share links of the publications as well. So any questions on that? Any other questions?
No, my job here is not to ask questions. My job here is to listen. So you go ahead and talk what you want to talk.
Absolutely.
You have lots of things to say. You choose what you want to talk about. Okay.
Great,
I am not going to ask questions.
Great. That's great. So yeah, that's just some of the work that we're doing at Nikore Associates. I would love to talk about the work that we're doing at the bank. So at the World Bank, I am working with the transport team on the intersection of gender and transport. So I'm supporting the team in developing a toolkit which will be published in the next 3-4 months. So that particular toolkit will be we're trying to develop a gender inclusive ecosystem at India's land ports. So, land ports are the areas where we see that women prefer not going and working over there because they're further away from the main city areas. They are large places and, they're not well lit. So we're trying to understand that what are the challenges that women face over there. And we're trying to build a more conducive and a safe environment for women over there. And specifically, this land toolkit will focus on 3 specific categories of women users. First would be the women employees who work over there. There are still significantly a lot of women employees who are working at land ports, despite all the constraints and challenges that they face. The second would be the women commuters who use the land port to travel from one country to another for medical purposes, for tourism purposes. And the third specific category is the women logistics service providers and women traders who use the borders to trade goods. And the other work, we're also designing safe mobility options for women across Delhi NCR. We are developing recommendations to improve women's participation in urban mobility systems. So yes, that's the work that I've been doing over the last 1.5 years. And at Nikore Associates, it's been a great journey so far. A, because of the diverse work that we're doing and the very meaningful and impactful work that we're doing. And B, because as the research manager, I'm actually managing everything, right, from social media, from the recruitment to like client-facing roles, stakeholder management. So it's been a very holistic and a very wholesome journey so far. And I'm very excited to see what's out there. And yes, so that is just my experience so far over the last 1.5 years.
Okay, well, tell us more about LSR and JNU. How was it for you?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So LSR has been LSR. So it's actually a very funny story. I would love to share that with you. So I've always been a straight A grade student, very hardworking, very responsible. Teacher's favorite student, you could say that. And yes, yes. And then I've often been ridiculed for that as well. But that's another story. But then, yeah, and I opted for humanities in 11th grade because I wanted to do economics. And, I was so passionate about eco. So I was like, definitely eco hi karna hai. And I was like pretty sure that I wanted to do economics from St. Stephen's. And that was my goal. So, on the above, I had wrote board in my, and then I had written over there, Stephens, you have to get good marks for Stephens. That was my daily motivation every day before starting my studies. I would just look at it and that's the goal. I had a picture of the college pinned over there and I was like, that is where I want to be. But unfortunately, I got waitlisted at Stephens and the waitlist stopped at number 12 and I was number 14. So just by 2 spots. But that's okay. I think destiny had better plans for me. And then I got into LSR and I feel that was a very, very good thing that happened to me. They call the magic of LSR, the fact that, once you're an LSR alumni and once you're in LSR, it's just like the vibe is just something so different because the environment is so safe. You feel so good over there. It's like everybody's so supportive. The teachers over there, the professors, your peers, your classmates. It was just a really beautiful journey. And the fact that it exposed me to a lot more and it actually changed me personally as a person and professionally. And that was the reason why I decided to do another degree in economics. And then JNU, on the other hand, I feel that, in LSR, I was in this bubble, this LSR bubble. But in JNU, sorry, yeah. But in JNU, I was actually exposed to people from different walks of life. I think that has been very critical in my personal journey because when LSR, it was just a bubble that I was in. But when I entered JNU, I was like, there are people from different academic backgrounds, different financial backgrounds. And then when you get to interact with them, when you get to talk to them, I think that just broadened my horizons a lot. And it made me very proficient in like, social bonding and like, that way it was a very wholesome journey. And then so JNU was good. Unfortunately, the first 3 semesters were online. But the last semester, I would go to college every day. Every day I would go at 9 a.m. and then I would come back late at night. I would just sit over there, have discussions with my professors. They were really good professors, the way they talk to you, they give you so much time. In fact, I was in JNU last week only. I went, my center celebrated 50 years of its, we had a 50-year celebration. So we had several conferences lined up. I went and attended some conferences. So it was overall a really nice journey. And so let's see what's in store after this now.
Okay, and what's your future?
My future, I don't know. Right now, I'm working at the bank. I'm working at Nikore Associates. So I tend to I think I want to work for like 2, 3 more years. And after that, I might go in for another degree. I might go abroad. I just want to get that exposure because I've been born and brought up in Delhi. I've always stayed at home with my parents. So I feel it'll be important for me if I step out of my comfort zone, go in for another degree, probably in gender or development economics. Let's see. So after that, let's see where the future takes me. But I'm right now very happy working at the bank. I think all credit goes to Mitali, who's the founder of Nikore Associates. And, she's always been she's like the best mentor one could any time get. It's so important because to have that type of handholding, that support at such a young age in your career, because I see my peers in different institutions, in different big companies, and they don't have that support system. They don't have that mentorship to guide them. Whereas Mitali has given me that exposure wherein, one day we're going to the ministry, second day we're going to attend an event at India Habitat Center, third day we're going to a corporate company for meetings and client meetings. So Mitali has been very pivotal in my career journey, and I'll always be grateful to her for everything that she's done for me. And so let's see what happens next, and I'm very excited to see
Any
my
tips
journey.
for those who cannot get into the LSR bubble, as you called it?
So you mean to say LSR bubble, like entering LSR or like
No, and
within
those who are not fortunate enough to go to LSR, any tips for them?
Yes, yes. So I feel that, whatever happens, happens for the best, like in my opinion. Like I feel like the two times where I wanted the institution, so I wanted Delhi School of Economics after LSR, but I did not get Delhi School of Economics. I missed by 0.5 percentage, and I got into JNU. But I cleared the JNU exam, which was also like so important for me, because I'll tell you what, like had I been in D school, I wouldn't have been exposed to the type of curriculum that is available at JNU. And it is because of JNU that I realized that gender is the area where I want to work in, because I took this course in some other center, and I remember a professor and the way she was teaching me, and she exposed me to these papers on gender economics, on unpaid care work. And that's when I realized that this is what I want to do. So had I been in D school, I wouldn't have gotten that exposure, I'm pretty sure. So I would have been probably stuck in some corporate company doing some corporate boring job. I love my job right now. It's just so much fun, and that exposure, and every day there's something new, every day there's something exciting to do. But I think my tip would be to just trust the process, and in case if you don't get what you really want, I think whatever you have, you should make the most out of it. Like, I had one semester offline in GNU, but I tried to make the most out of it. I tried to speak to as many professors, make as many connections. And that is what that matters. The thing is that time is very crucial, but you will not always get whatever you want. But try to make the most out of it. Whatever it is will always happen for the good. So just
Okay.
trust the process.
It's a very optimistic view of the world, or perhaps it's a realistic view of the world. I
It
leave
is.
that to the others to judge. Anything else you want to add here?
No, I think I have mostly spoken everything about my life. I think in like 20-25 minutes, I've summarized my entire life so far, my academic journey, my professional journey. And I'm very excited to see what's out there, what's next now. And I just feel just be happy in life,
Okay,
just
great.
just
All
keep
right, let's end it here, and maybe we'll see you in a year to see where you are, how
absolutely. I
you are
would love.
doing. Let's say bye to the viewers. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'll be back
Thank you.
with another young person or an expert soon. Bye till then. Okay, bye.